Hello and welcome to Hexed and Countered. I'm Joe. We're starting something new here on the channel, and it's called Midweek Magazine, where we will occasionally, I'm not gonna promise every Wednesday, but on Wednesdays, periodically, we will be doing features on periodicals. See how that works? So for our first one, I just received this over the weekend, and I wanted to kind of get it going. I do have other magazines that I have, as well as more that are coming. So this should be a fairly regular series, although, like I said, I can't really promise based on how much time I have. But the idea is I'll go through the magazine, show you the game that comes with it, if there is a game. Can't always promise that every magazine I'll look at here will always have a game in it, but this one actually has two. So this is Cities of the Damned. This is Against the Odds, issue number 60, by the way. And the two cities of the damned, they'd be Aachen and Cassino. Now, there was a few years back another issue of Against the Odds that actually had some games called Islands of the Damned. And I just so happen to have those as well. So that is this one. That's issue number 43, so it's been a little bit. And that covered Wake Island and Peleliu, so two Pacific campaigns, two Pacific battles, and now we're going to go to Europe. And so I'm going to start off by looking at the magazine, and then we'll get into the games. I already pulled the magazine out of the Ziploc. This is the map for one of the games. The other map is on the other side. Or they're separate, but they're in the Ziploc. They're on top of each other. So let's take a look here at Cities of the Damned, Against the Odds, issue number 60. So you have games that are upcoming from them. There are three in here. Issue 61 will be Rome Inc. 2. I actually have Rome Inc., and that's probably going to be one that you will see here on the channel at some point. We also have ATO 62, which would be the issue following that. Strike of the Heron, which is going to be a game on the August 42 drive to Stalingrad by the German 14th Panzer Corps, I believe. And then up here we have the deluxified somewhat edition for the ATO Annual 2022. Obviously, they're a little behind schedule. That would be Stalingrad Verdun on the Volga reprint. So, and they note that David Bowe, who was the developer for this, for the Rome Inc. game and had worked on Rome Inc. 2, has passed away. And so Russ Lockwood will be picking up the development to finish that game. Then we have Andy Nunez is basically his editorial that comes in each issue, and he largely talks about in this how the army plowed through the German defenses from the Bocage to the West Wall. So there are all kinds of neat little things in here about the fighting in Aachen and the fighting in Cassino. And he talks about some books that you can read. This is always a neat little feature here in this particular magazine, as you get some background here. So he specifically, I believe, references Bloody Aachen by Charles Whiting, and also the Charles MacDonald's The Siegfried Line campaign, which is right here. And then there's a familiar name if you're a war gamer in this list. It's Beyond the Beachhead by Joseph Balkowski, who is a war game designer and does a lot of games. I have his Korean war game, and also one of the great campaigns of the American Civil War. I also have one of those as well. So he's a designer, but he wrote that book back in 1989. So it's a little interesting thing there. Then we have Aachen Fight for the City by Michael Ranella. So this gives you a kind of a look of what the map sort of looks like without the area lines on it. Now you might know Michael Ranella as the designer of Stalingrad Advance to the Volga, I think is what it's called, and the Manila game, which followed that one. And this Aachen game is the third in that series. So those two games were done by his company, Take Aim Designs, and published by Revolution. So this one obviously is in Against the Odds, but it is the same system. So it is one that I am familiar with and that I think is very, very well done. So I'm looking forward to playing this. And so he gives kind of the background here on the history behind the game, the history of the battle. Then again, you've got further reading here for things about the Battle of Aachen. Then we have over here a little promo for the some various other games that feature city fights. Fortress Berlin, which was obviously the Soviet battle to take the German capital at the end of the war. The fight for Budapest in 1945, and then Hitler, Stalingrad, Breslau in 1945. These were three pretty brutal fights, all of them on the Eastern Front. And then we have Cassino, City of the Damned by Paul Rohrbaugh, and he's also obviously a pretty prolific designer. He has his own company where he designs games and publishes them, and he does things for other companies as well. I have a few of his games. So again, I'm looking forward to playing this one as well. This game is, I believe, the third battle for Cassino, because there were a lot of pieces in this. It was a campaign that was fairly lengthy. The Italians and Germans, well, the Germans really, because by this time the Italians had surrendered. They put up quite the fight here for this area. So you can see the game map covers this small area. The monastery, Monte Cassino, is over here. So there's a lot of other things that can be done with this, and who knows, maybe he'll expand and cover some of these other ones. So yeah, it's the third Battle of Cassino. You can see March 15th to 20th of 1944. This is the area, shows you the penetration by the Allied forces, and so on and so forth. Lots of detail talking about the entirety of the fighting for that area. And then some dramatis personae, Major General Bernard Freiberg, who was commanding the Allied forces. And then, of course, General Field Marshal Albert Kesselring, who commanded the German forces in the Italian theater. Then we have the rules for Cassino. So it goes through 13 sections. And, he says, read this first, learning to play the game. You can see game design, Paul Rohrbaugh, David L. Jones with development, Mark Mahaffey with layout, Steve Rawling, production, and then editing, Jack Beckman, and our play testers are listed here as well. So the rules, if you've not seen an ATO magazine with games in it, this is they're inside the magazine, obviously, which is kind of the standard. So you've got your introduction, you've got your game setup, your sequence of play, your weather, air and artillery support, action points, which kind of leads into all the other things like movement and exiting the map, stacking rules, combat, retreats, step losses, withdrawals. Then we have counterattacks, reinforcements, special rules, and then this continues after the Aachen rules of play, because it's kind of all in there, so you could fold out the staples and pull this out if you wanted to. But these are the Aachen rules of play. Again, Michael Ranella on the design. This is also developed by David Jones, layout Mark Mahaffey. Basically the same cast of characters here, the production, Steve Rawling, and editing, Jack Beckman. And then a slightly different group of playtesters. So again, this is a system that I've played before. I've played both Stalingrad and Manila from Michael Ranella. Very, very, very good games. It's really solid solitaire system. If you haven't played either of those games, I think Stalingrad might be tough to get, but the Manila game is just as good. I highly recommend both those, just saying. So you've got your read this first, and then we go through the rules. So this seems like a lot, but it's actually fairly compressed. The rules for this game, the system's really fleshed out pretty well, and you don't need to read a whole lot to get through this. So we'll flip through this really quick. So you can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 right on the first page, right? So you got your intro components, the map, because the map is an area map, as is the casino game. The playing pieces, you can see what they are. So these are American pieces. You can see this is the which armored division is that? I forget. Third, I think. Then you've got infantry here. self-propelled artillery, and strength factors, right? So, well, I'll get into that because I'm going to play this game fairly soon. German unit information. The defenders in this series are always basically hidden. You see them like this, and then they flip to something like this, and that impacts the type of defense that they put up. Then you got some markers, etc. You prepare for play. The game's 9 turns long, covers the fighting in Aachen from October 13th to the 21st, 1944. German's unit setup, sequence of play, pretty straightforward. You do a dawn phase with reinforcements, then you have leader mortality. If a leader gets put in the out of action box, they possibly could be killed. You have a random event phase, which really throws you some curveballs sometimes. That cost me some games in Manila and Stalingrad, but very good system. Supply phase, combat phase, and then the end phase, basically, and that's pretty much how it is. The solitaire player will play the Americans, and all the actions will be done by the solitaire player, and then the Germans are essentially the system, but it's very passive, but very tough, because you're basically prying them out of strong points throughout the city. And you've got stacking control, movement rules, and combat rules, and these are the types of combat results you can get. Victory conditions, the example of play, optional rules, and then you've got some rubbling, and the Hotel Quellenhof has a special rule. Game strategy, where he kind of breaks it out for how to play, essentially. Then you've got your index and your game tables, and this is the resumption of the casino rules, where they have German snipers, German machine gun units, etc. winning the game. How do you win the game? You get victory points, basically. And again, an example of play for the casino game. Here is a map of casino. Again, area map, so you can see that that's pretty much consistent. More rules, variants, and designer notes. Game tables. The continuation, and then this is the end of it right here. High Flying Dice Games. This is Paul Rawbaugh's company. He has a ton of games in here. A lot of them are very good. They're not very expensive. The tricky part is they may or may not come with mounted counters. You can pay a little extra to get counters that are mounted, or you can mount them yourselves if you're the crafty type. Then we have John Southard's spit it out, Joe. Simulation Corner. Solitaire games and city fightings. This is actually really interesting. I read this article already, but he goes through all these various games that kind of handled solitaire games with cities, fighting in cities, going all the way back to the Fall of Rome and Strategy and Tactics number 39, which was way back when. Then you've got another SPI offering there in Operation Olympic, which you can still buy from Decision Games. You may even be able to still buy this. I'm not sure. Ambush, of course, a true classic. Sniper, City Fight, and then you've got these are the games that John Southard himself did, I'm pretty sure. I know he did Carrier and Philippine Sea. I've played this. Very good game. Available from Compass. And then you have Tokyo Express. These were both West End games, I think. But yeah, he... Okay, yep. Yeah, West End games. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. Another ad for their Turning Point simulations. They've got a series of 20 games, small games on 20 20 of the most important battles in history. And then we've got some notes here from Ed Heinzman and The Data Shows, A Tale of Two Topics. And so it talks about urban battles, both offensive and defensive, between Allied Russian and Axis German forces, while this issue features German defensive efforts against British and American offensive attacks in an urban setting. This installment of And the Data Shows will focus on the third Axis power, Japan, defending against American attacks. This one is about Manila, I'm pretty sure. So here's Manila here, which, as I mentioned, is one of the games that Michael Ranella did. And it goes through the kind of the numbers. This is a really interesting feature in the magazine as well, because you can see kind of the numbers. Then they also talk about the battle for Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Naha, and Shuri Castle. Japanese and jungle warfare. Again, you get some nice reading recommendations. City of Blood. This is another article from Paul Robaugh. It is the Barrel of Khorramshahr, which was in the Iran-Iraq War in 1980. So there's a nice little piece on that, including maps and more books. Very history-oriented. Here's an ad for Rome Inc. 2, which is in the next issue. And finally, we get to the back, The Fifth Columnist by John D. Burt. And he talks about books of late Rome. This obviously feeds into the Rome Inc. 2, which runs from the late Roman period, 284 to 641. I think it's Diocletian to Heraclius. Yeah, Diocletian to Heraclius. And you can see the board. It's kind of an area thing. Point to point. I really need to play Rome Inc. for video, and I will get around to that, I promise. So good stuff here. And then on the back, we got another ad, this one for the annual, which is, again, Stalingrad, Verdun on the Volga. So that is the look at the magazine. And I talked about the games, and I'm not going to show the maps. Why not? Because I'm going to do Solo Sunday series starting this coming Sunday will feature one of these games, and it will probably be followed by the other one of these games. So you'll see them then. So yeah, that's going to do it. I don't want to ramble on too long. Almost 20 minutes on one magazine is probably plenty. This magazine is available from Against the Odds. They do go out of print, and this one will probably go out, I would guess, because of the subject matter. It's Western Front and Italian Front. Italian Front is something I always found interesting, but generally lacking in offerings, especially compared to the Western Front and the Eastern Front, and even the desert. But yeah, Cassino was a pretty fascinating and grueling battle for both sides. But yeah, I don't know that this one will last all that long. So pick it up if you're interested. That's my recommendation. And if you want to see the games, I'm going to be playing those very soon, as I just said. All right, let's take a look at what comes with the game Inside Cities of the Damned ATO issue 60. These are the counters for Aachen and Cassino. And you can see there's not a ton. But let's take a look at Aachen. So those are the Germans. And if you flip them over, you can see the various types of defense they can put up. Now, if you were to get Stalingrad and or Manila, there would be a lot more of these and also more of these. And then you have control markers, basically. So you can see rubbled on one side and U.S. control markers on the other side. You have strong rubble, which gives the Germans a +1 for their defense value. And then you have a turn marker that's either it's clear, and then you have shaken morale for the Americans. And yeah, so you have spent for the various units, and they have the names of the commanders on them that are also on the front here, as you can see. So that's that's Aachen, and here's Cassino. So different look, obviously, different designer, right? So you've got, again, control markers, I believe, crossed river. Then you've got German defenders. Those are only single-sided. The snipers, your round and ops phase, your turn, allied victory point, tracks, action points, and then these are our allied units up here. So these would be British and Commonwealth forces. So those are the counters. Aachen map. So you can see you've got your morale track. Basically, you go through your turns, and then as you win or lose, you will move your morale track. And then as your morale goes down, you might find yourself in a more and more tough situation. There's an out of action box here at the bottom. I'm trying to show as much of the map as possible. It's slightly bigger than what I can get here without going to ultra wide mode, which I did not want to do. But then you've got your various areas of the city. And so you'll place your German units in here, and then the Allies will come in these two directions, and they'll start to fight for various areas and control them. And that's basically how this works. So very, very straightforward, not overly difficult, but it does have some meat to it. Now this one is, this is the turn and record track for a casino, or the casino rail map. So you can see we've got some river, and you've got railroads, right? So that is a kind of player aid sidecar kind of thing. It gives you your turn track. Here's the map, same size as the other map. So there is a turn record track here at the bottom as well as an Allied reserve box. But here is the main map. Let's slide this down a little bit so you can see the whole map. So here's the entirety of the map. And they lay pretty flat, not perfectly flat. They are paper. It's a decent weight of paper. It's not real flimsy. Down here you also have a 1,000 feet scale, and the direction is north, would be that direction. So again, here's the map. You've got your various areas. And again, they all have points on them, essentially. Just like the Aachen map did, but the game is entirely different. And you can see the river again going through here and so on. So those are the maps. I decided I might as well show them. I was going to not show them, but I elected to do so because I thought, why not? You know, let's throw you guys a bone and let you see it. So there you go. So that's going to do it. I'm Joe. This is the Hexed Countered Channel. Please feel free to comment, ask questions, etc. Also, if you would consider liking, sharing of the video, and or subscribing to the channel, all of those things are fantastic and very much appreciated. But that's going to do it for this one. So until next time, as always, happy gaming.